simply is, does J.J. McCarthy look ready for prime time? And I phrase it that way because Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy will be going head-to-head prime time on the first Monday night game of this season in Chicago, Vikings at Bears, which is always a critical game, but in this case might be the most interesting game of all of week one to see what these two young quarterbacks, second-year players who couldn't have had more different first-year experiences, what do they both look like when we get to prime time that night?
Yeah, I mean, I think they both are in a situation where they're going to have a lot of support from their defense and from the receivers and talent around them and their coaches. So, like, I tend to believe that they're both going to perform well and be prepared for that situation. McCarthy obviously is stepping into a more unique situation, but he's got two really good receivers. Like, possibly JJ, he's going to throw to Justin Jefferson, who is, by most accounts, the best receiver in football.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to be ready for prime time when you can throw it over there to the modern version of Randy Moss.
And by all accounts, J.J. McCarthy looks great. And if we want to talk about that Monday night game that you're bringing up, just want to point out, J.J. McCarthy grew up in the Chicago area, in LaGrange Park. Can you imagine the emotions of that night? The very first game that he went to as a youth was a Bears-Vikings game. And now the Bears and Vikings are playing on Monday Night Football, and he will be playing his first NFL snap in the stadium that he attended his first NFL game.
That's cool.
With the two teams that he first saw live, up close and personal. So, in fact, I saw his dad yesterday in Michigan. He was saying, I have a program. That's how I knew. I have a program from that game between the Bears and the Vikings. And now my son's playing in that game.
Jeff, that's enough, man.
I'm going with the Bears. He's going to be an emotional wreck, man. Give me Caleb Williams.
Well, look, everywhere I go, when people ask me about this, everyone's answer is always, well, look, he's got KOC, right? He's got Kevin O'Connell, as though Kevin O'Connell could take anyone, because we watched what he did with Sam Darnold, we watched what he did with Kirk Cousins, and maybe it is as simple as that. Maybe it's as simple as
it's very helpful.
He is the magic. He is the magic touch for any quarterback. But this is still a kid who has never played an NFL game.
Absolutely.
And he's going to be expected to take this team deep. They were one win away last year from having the 1 seed in the NFC.
And that's the point. With whatever this process looks like, I don't expect it to be at full strength on week one for either one of these quarterbacks. And they shouldn't be, especially for Caleb Williams. It's more important to start correctly than it is to start fast. Build him up the right way. And the same goes for JJ. It's going to take time to get him to the point that even we saw from Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold has years and years of experience in the NFL, so he started with a head start.
And even though we haven't seen J.J. McCarthy, we have seen the rest of that draft class. And when we were growing up as the old men on this set, everybody's always talked about the class of '83, the quarterbacks in that class. John Elway, Todd Blackledge, Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, Tony Easton, some of the great quarterbacks.
Ken O'Brien.
Yes, you're New York.
You left out the
ahead of Dan Marino.
Go ahead.
Exactly. Well, anyway, I think we're going to start talking about this class of 2024 with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels and Drake May and Bo Nix and Michael Penix. And the one quarterback we haven't seen play yet from the first round that can make that draft class almost match up to an all-time great quarterback draft class is J.J. McCarthy. And by all accounts, he's healthy. He looks good. He's ready. He hasn't taken a snap in the NFL. We don't know what we'll see. But based on the quarterbacks that he went with and what people thought of him, he's got the chance to shine just like those other rookie quarterbacks.
And I do think the situation matters. I know your KOC can't be like just make everyone into a superstar, but it does seem like you see the best version of every quarterback in that situation. So I'm excited to see what they do there. And you mentioned Jaden Daniels. He's another one, man. Like, they better pay Terry McLaurin, because Jaden Daniels throws the deep ball. Like, that's what he does incredibly well. You know what Terry does well? Catches it.
A lot of business to get taken care of as we...
What's up, Vikings Nation? Victor here. And let me tell you, we might be on the verge of something crazy in Minnesota. Rumors? Nah, this one's bigger than that. We're talking about a real window of opportunity here. The Vikings making a move for Terry McLaurin. That's right, Scary Terry, a top-tier wide receiver, one of the most consistent weapons in the entire league. And if the stars align, we could be pairing him with Justin Jefferson to create the most terrifying WR duo in the NFL. Let me break down what's happening, why it makes sense, and what it would mean for the Vikings right now. But before we go all in, hit that like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because if this deal goes through, you'll want to be the first to know. Let's go! So here's the situation with Terry McLaurin and the Commanders. He's currently holding out of all off-season activities. Mandatory minicamp, missed it. Training camp, unlikely to show. Why? because he wants to get paid, and I mean top dollar paid. And honestly, he deserves it. McLaurin just posted his 5th straight 1,000-yard season in 2024, plus a career-high 13 touchdowns. He's 29 years old and still playing at an elite level, but Washington, they're lowballing him, acting like the WR market hasn't exploded past $30 million a year, and that's where things get real interesting. Now here's where it gets spicy. According to Jeremy Fowler and multiple insiders, the Commanders say they're not shopping McLaurin. But let's be honest, if this contract standoff keeps dragging and he refuses to report for camp next week, that front office might not have a choice. And from everything I've heard, the Vikings are watching this situation very closely. We're in prime position to make a move. Why? Because this move makes total sense on every level. You pair Terry McLaurin with Justin Jefferson. That's game over for opposing secondaries. Jefferson gets bracketed constantly, double teams, safety help, you name it. But you throw McLaurin on the other side, that's a nightmare for defenses. You can't double both. You can't ignore either. Let me put this into perspective. McLaurin had over 1,000 yards last year with Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett throwing to him. Now imagine him with a rising star like J.J. McCarthy, with Jefferson drawing coverage, and a creative offense under Kevin O'Connell. Yeah, that's elite. Let's be real, this team isn't just rebuilding anymore. This is a retool, not a rebuild. We've got Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson returning soon, a much improved offensive line, and a defense on the rise. The one thing missing? Another proven veteran WR to help McCarthy grow and open things up for Jay Jettas. McLaurin isn't just a luxury, he's a need if we want to compete in the NFC. And guess what? We have the cap flexibility to get creative with an extension, plus the draft capital to make it happen if Washington comes around. So let's talk logistics real quick. If Washington finally opens the door, and that's a big if, the Vikings could offer something like 2026 second round pick, 2027 conditional third rounder that could turn into a second if McLaurin hits certain benchmarks. That's fair value for a guy on the final year of his deal, especially if Washington knows they might lose him for nothing in free agency. For us, that's a steal. Here's the bottom line. The NFC is wide open. The 49ers, still elite. The Lions, tough. But after that, there's room. A team like the Vikings with the right pieces could sneak in and make real noise. Adding McLaurin would be a bold move, but it would signal to the entire league that Minnesota is serious about chasing greatness. It helps McCarthy, it unlocks Jefferson, it opens up Hawk, it changes the entire identity of this offense, and more than anything, it fires up the fan base. This is the kind of move that makes you believe. But that's just my take. Vikings Nation, what do you think? Would you go all in for Terry McLaurin? Or should we stay patient with Addison and hope he makes the leap? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. Are you team Scary Terry to Minnesota, or would you pass? And as always, if you're loving the content, like, subscribe and skull with us all season long. This could be a special year, folks, and it might start with one very big trade. Until next time, skull baby.